Alrighty, folks, we're 8-0 in our last 8 board member tier package plays on my premium page. We had the Celtics on Wednesday, and they blasted Phoenix by 30 points in that blowout winner. And the good news is I've got another board member tier package play going off here today for Thursday. That play is already posted and ready for access in the post section. And of course, if you sign up for that board member package, you're going to get access to that membership every single day for the next 30 days. And as an added bonus, you're also going to get access to all of my cheaper memberships during that time frame, absolutely free. It's going to be included with your membership. Also want to give a big shout out to all of you Gold Club members out there because we cashed in on 5 winning tickets on Wednesday. We had Loyola Chicago in college basketball, Raptors and Celtics in the NBA. We also cashed in on Vancouver and Dallas in the NHL. And the only way you could have accessed all those winners is to join my full access, all-inclusive Gold Club membership. And I'll explain a little bit more about all that in just a moment. But before we go ahead and move on, just want to take a quick time out and welcome you to my free pick video here today. For Thursday, March 27th, 2025. Happy Thursday to you. Weekend's right around the corner. We are just about there. Of course, if you're joining me for the first time here today, my name is Brock Page. I've been dishing out free sports picks on YouTube since 2016. Of course, if you do decide to join my full access, all-inclusive Gold Club package, you're going to get access to every single premium selection of mine, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. Of course, if you don't need access to all of my premium selections, but maybe you could use like one a day, you could also think about signing up for my daily best play. Costs just 6 cents a day for 30 days worth of access. I also have plenty of free content on my premium page as well, and that includes my current overall win-loss record. You can actually access that right now in the post section. Don't have to buy anything to see my overall record. Folks, we're currently 4-0 with a push in my last 5 college basketball tier package picks. 5-0 in my last 5 underdog tier package plays. 5-0 in my last 5 extra daily picks. And finally, folks, once again, we are 8-0 in our last 8 board member tier package plays. And the good news is we've got plays going off in all of those packages here today for Thursday. And they're all included with the Gold Club membership. We currently have over 2,250 members who are signed up and active on my premium page right now. And with that, folks, let's go ahead and dive right into some free content. Going to start off in college basketball. BYU taking on Alabama. That'll be a 7:09 Eastern tip-off in the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. Alabama's minus 5.5, totals 175. Alabama's 27-8 on the year. BYU's 26-9. And I'll tell you this much, both schools definitely have the ability to put up some points. BYU's a top 20 field goal shooting team, actually making over 10.5 3 balls a game on average. Richie Saunders makes 43% of his long balls, 16 points a game. Looks dark in here. Anyway, sorry. A little ADD there. Definitely looks dark. I don't know why. Darker than usual. Maybe a light bulb burnout. But anyway, Richie Saunders doing a great job shooting that long ball. 43% from long range. 16 points a game for him. And Trevin Nell, he's making 44% of his attempts from downtown. Meanwhile, Alabama on the other side, they're the highest point-producing school in the nation. You're probably wondering, like, Brock, why aren't we talking about the Tide? Yeah, Bama scoring more points a game than any other team. Second in the country in field goals made. Mark Sears averages over 18.5 points per contest, 84% from the stripe. And Grant Nelson, he's averaging double-digit points a game himself, 52% from the field. Now, total-wise, 6 out of the Tide's last 10 ball games did get over the total. Overs against Robert Morris, Florida, and Auburn. Meanwhile, BYU games went 8-2 to the over in their last 10 themselves. I like the over 175. Next game, Maryland, Florida, 7:39 Eastern start in the Chase Center. Florida's -6.5, totals 157. Now the Gators allow just 69 points a game, 10th in guarding the three ball. Florida's currently limiting opposing teams to just 29% shooting from three-land. Meanwhile, Maryland on the other side, they saw unders recently in 7 out of their last 8. Unders against the likes of Colorado State, Grand Canyon, and Illinois. The Terps allow only 66 points a game on defense, 41% shooting from the field. I like the under 157. Next game, Arizona Duke, 9:39 East. Duke's -9, totals 153.5. Now the Blue Devils are 33-3 on this season. They have not lost a game in a real long time. And when it comes to the number, Duke successfully covered the point spread in 8 out of their last 10. Covers against the likes of Baylor, Louisville, and North Carolina. The Blue Devils allow only 61 points a game on defense, 12th in the country in defensive boards. They're also limiting their competition to just 38% shooting from the field. They're facing an Arizona squad who's definitely struggled against the number here a bit recently. The Wildcats failed to cover in 5 out of their last 8. Failures to cover against the likes of Oregon, Houston, and Arizona State. And when it comes to shooting the deep ball, the Wildcats are currently 303rd in offensive three-point percentage. Now, they saw unders recently against Akron, Iowa State, and Utah. Duke with unders recently against Louisville and North Carolina. I like Duke -9, under 153.5. All right, next and final college basketball breakdown. Arkansas, Texas Tech, 10:09 Eastern start. Texas Tech is -6, totals 148. The Red Raiders are 27-8 on the year. Arkansas is 22-13. But I'll tell you what, more recently, the Razorbacks, well, they played some really good basketball. Winners of 7 out of their last 9. Covered in all of those contests except for 2. The Razorbacks average over 76.5 points a game this year. Victories recently over the likes of St. John's and Kansas in this very tournament. Talking about going through the ringer just to get here. I mean, wow, that's a tough resume getting to the Sweet 16 here. And more good news, Adu Thero. He could potentially return here tonight for Arkansas. He's averaging over 15.5 points a game, 54% from the field. And Boogie Flan, he's scoring 14 points per contest himself. A handful of boards a game, 83% shooting from the foul line. And they're facing a Texas Tech team who's certainly had their fair share of difficulties covering the number. They actually failed to cover in 3 out of their last 4. Failures to cover against the likes of UNC Wilmington, Arizona, and Baylor. They also failed to cover in 6 out of their last 10, averaging only a couple of blocks per game on defense. The Red Raider games did go 6-1 to the over in their last 7. Arkansas with overs in 5 out of their last 7 themselves. I like Arkansas +6 over 148. All right, NBA, Pacers, Wizards, 7 o'clock Eastern tip. Indiana's -11, totals 236.5. And for a team laying, double digits in this spot here, the Pacers have definitely struggled covering the number recently. They failed to cover recently against Dallas, Philadelphia, and Brooklyn twice. They're also having a tough time on D. Pacers are in the bottom 10 in points allowed, bottom 10 in defensive field goal percentage. And they're facing a Washington club who actually covered the number recently against Denver and Detroit. And listen, I'm not saying Washington's good. This is a terrible team. But it's a team that is not helpless against the point spread. They do have a good amount of covers under their belt. Jordan Poole, he's leading the roster in scoring. Alex Sarr, he's getting a dozen points a game himself. Now, total-wise, the Wizards did see overs recently against New York, Orlando, and Utah. Meanwhile, Indy with overs recently against Dallas and Milwaukee. I like the Wizards +11 over 236.5. Next matchup, Mavericks, Magic, 7 o'clock Eastern tip. Orlando's -7, totals 219. Now, both teams are 3 games below 500. Orlando does have a losing record against the point spread. When it comes to offensive production, the Magic's currently the lowest point-scoring team in the NBA, dead last in assists per game. They're taking on a Dallas club who covered the number in 3 out of their last 4, covers against the likes of the Nets, Pistons, and Pacers. When it comes to defensive play, the Mavs have certainly been, tough against the deep ball. Listen, I know this isn't a team that's playing great basketball at the moment, but they really contest those long-range shots. The Mavs are allowing only a dozen 3 balls a game on average. Now, injury-wise, Williams, Davis, and Martin are questionable. Washington, Gafford, Lively, and Exum banged up. Meanwhile, for the Magic on the other side, Cole Anthony's day-to-day with a toe injury. Keep an eye on him. Now, total-wise, the Magic saw unders recently against the Cavaliers and Pelicans. I like Dallas +7, under 219. Next game, Spurs, Cavs, 7 o'clock East. Cleveland's -13, totals 238.5. The Cavs are 58-14, 30-5 at home. Meanwhile, San Antonio's 9 games under 500 themselves, 11-23 on the road. When it comes to defensive play, the Spurs are 25th in guarding the field goal, having a tough time grabbing rebounds. San Antonio is currently in the bottom 3 in defensive boards per contest. And they're facing a Cleveland squad who's a top 10 rebounding team on offense. Certainly the best three-point shooting team in the league at the moment. Cleveland's making nearly 40% of their three-pointers as a roster. Darius Garland knocks down 40% of his long balls, 20 points a game for him. And DeAndre Hunter, he's making 47% of his three-pointers with the Cavs, 14 points a night for him. Now, injury-wise, Mitchell and Tyson are day-to-day for Cleveland. Bassey's questionable for San Antonio. Spurs games went 60% to the over in their last 10. Cleveland with overs recently against Portland, Phoenix, and Sacramento. I like Cleveland -13, over 238.5. Next game, Hawks Heat, 7:30 p.m. East. Miami's -1, totals 227.5. Now, Miami got the W in their last 2 straight. Played some pretty tough defense over the past few weeks. They've allowed only 109 points a night in their last 10 outings. When it comes to offensive production on the other end of the court, the Heat's currently a top 10 free throw shooting team. Tyler Hero scores 23 points a game for the Heat, 86% from the line. And Davion Mitchell, he knocks down 45% of his three-pointers with Miami. Now they're taking on an Atlanta squad who allows nearly 120 points a game themselves. Bottom 3 in guarding the 3-ball. When it comes to the injury list, Wallace and Capella are banged up for Atlanta. Trae Young's day-to-day. Meanwhile, for the Heat, Burks and Robinson are questionable for them. Miami saw overs in 3 out of their last 5. Atlanta with overs in their last 5 straight. I like the Heat -1, over 227.5. All right, next game, Lakers, Bulls, 8 o'clock East. The Lakers are -3.5, totals 238 and a hook. LA's a top 10 field goal shooting team, 3rd in free throws made. Luka Doncic is leading the team in points per game. LeBron averages 8 boards, 8 assists a night. They're taking on a Chicago club who gives up 120 points a game, bottom 3 in defensive boards. And no real surprise here, folks. The Bulls give up more field goals a game than any other roster besides one. Now, injury-wise, Ball and Jones are banged up for the Bulls. Kleba battling a foot injury for Los Angeles. The Lakers saw overs recently against Orlando, overs against Orlando, Denver, and this very Chicago team. That head-to-head contest, it saw 261 total points. Of course, the Bulls on the other side, they saw overs in their last 4 straight themselves. Give me the Lakers -3.5, over 238 a hook. All right, next game, Grizzlies, Thunder, 8 o'clock Eastern tip. Oklahoma City's -10, totals 239. And even though the Grizzlies are red hot at the moment, They do have problems with foul trouble on defense. They're currently 25th in free throws allowed per game. They're also struggling with rebounding the basketball. They're a bottom 10 defensive rebounding team. And listen, those are two things that the Grizzlies do very well. Memphis is second in the league in offensive rebounds, first in free throws made. Desmond Bane makes 88% of his foul shots, nearly 40% from three-land. And Santi Aldama, he averages a dozen points a game himself. 6 boards, couple assists for Aldama. Now Bagley, Morant, and Pullen are banged up for Memphis. Stevens and Jackson are questionable. Meanwhile, for Oklahoma City, Wallace, Wiggins, Dukas, Dang, and Williams are questionable for them. Thunder games went 4-3 to the over in their last 7, throwing out that Sacramento contest. Meanwhile, Memphis with overs recently in 4 out of their last 6. I like the Grizzlies plus 10 over 239. Next contest, Rockets Jazz, 9 o'clock East. Houston's minus 12.5, totals 228. The Rockets are 47-26 on the year, winning record against the point spread. Meanwhile, Utah, 41 games under 500, just 9-29 at home. And more recently, the Jazz lost 9 out of their last 10. They're currently 24th in field goals made. And they're facing a Houston squad who's definitely tough to score points against. They're 5th in guarding the field goals, 2nd in three-pointers allowed. And out of Houston's last 10 ball games, they got the W in all of those contests except for one. Adams and Thompson are questionable for the Rockets. Clarkson, Markkanen, and Collins banged up for Utah. Jazz games went 6-3 to the under in their last 9. Houston with unders recently against Atlanta, Miami, and Phoenix. I like the Rockets minus 12.5, under 228. With that, folks, we're going to jump into our next and final breakdown for the video. Not for the video, for the NBA. We got plenty more action, trust me. Next and final breakdown for the NBA. Blazers, Kings. 10 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Sacramento's minus 6, totals 225. Now, the Kings are 2 games under 500, just 38% against the point spread this year, really struggling covering the number. Meanwhile, Portland, completely opposite. The Blazers are 42-31 against the number this year, covers in 5 out of their last 8. Now, Portland got the job done against the likes of Denver, Memphis, New York, and Golden State during that stretch. Some real heavy hitters there. And when it comes to defensive play, the Blazers are currently 8th in the league in blocks, 7th in fewest 3 balls allowed. Of course, on the offensive end, Anthony Simons is averaging just about 20 points a game, 90% from the foul line. And DeAndre Ayton, he's averaging 14 points a game himself, 56% from the field. They're facing a Sacramento squad who failed to cover in their last 4 straight, just 2-7 against the spread in their last 9. They're also dead last in guarding the three-pointer. Opposing teams are making just about 40% of their long balls against them. Now, injury-wise, Malik Monk's day-to-day for the Kings. Jeremy Grant, questionable for Portland. The Blazers' last 3 straight got over the total. Sacramento, 60% to the over in their last 10. I like Portland plus 6, over 225. Alrighty, folks. Going to dive into some MLB action. Opening day, finally here. Brewers, Yankees, 3:05 Eastern first pitch in the Bronx. New York's minus $1.55, totals 8. Carlos Rodon on the bump here for the Yankees. Freddie Peralta for the Brewers. Now, Freddie had a bit of a rough spring. Had an 8.56 ERA over 4 starts. Actually gave up 17 hits through just 13-plus innings. And that includes a handful of home runs. So, Freddie not looking in season form there in the preseason. Listen, he's got to face a dangerous Yankee lineup who hit well in the spring themselves. Cody Bellinger hit .423 with an OPS in the 1200s. And Paulie Goldschmidt, he also hit .308 in the spring with an OPS in the thousands. Of course, on the bump, the Yankees' Carlos Rodon, he's coming off a solid 16-9 season. I never understood the Rodon hate. If you follow my MLB videos, Rodon, I always thought was a gamer. He won a lot of games, pitched solid. A couple spots he didn't look great, but Chris Mad Dog Russo, man, he really blasted him. I remember Rodon's record was like 16-4 at one point, like 16-3, 16-4. And Mad Dog was like, I don't trust this guy. I don't know. I just don't get the Rodon hate. But once again, he was 16-9 in the regular season last year. 195 strikeouts through 175 innings. Weather-wise, actually should be a nice day in the Bronx. Normally this time of year in the Northeast, really in the Midwest, Mid-Atlantic region as well, it's normally cold. I mean, I remember, Detroit games and Cleveland games, like 30 degrees. But should be a nice day in the Bronx, 50 degrees and clear at first pitch. Give me the Bronx Bombers, the Yankees -155, under 8. All right, next matchup, O's Blue Jays, 3:07 Eastern start. Baltimore's -120, totals 8.5. Zach Eflin for the O's, Jose Barrios for Toronto. And Barrios had a very nice spring. 2.18 ERA through 20-plus innings, 18 strikeouts, 1.11 whip. And at the plate, Bo Bichette, he hit .373 in the spring, handful of homers. Andres Jimenez, 11 RBI for him in the spring, OPS of 921. And they're going to take on Zach Eflin, who definitely allowed a considerable amount of hits in the preseason, finished with an ERA in the 5s. I think the Jays get the job done in the opener here. Pretty good price point for them. Give me Toronto plus $1 over 8.5. Next matchup, Red Sox, Rangers, 4:05 East. Boston's -120, total 7.5. Garrett Crochet for the Red Sox, Nathan Eovaldi for Texas. Eovaldi's coming off his 5th straight season with an ERA in the 3s. Eovaldi actually finished last season with a 1.10 whip. Of course, at the dish, Jock Peterson had a handful of homers in the spring, OPS in the thousands. That steady, consistent weight gain really paying off for him. Corey Seager also had a double-digit RBI in the spring, OPS of 950. And they're going to face Garrett Crochet, who, listen, not going to take anything away from Crochet. This is an excellent arm. Great pickup for Boston. But Crochet's not used to winning many games, despite how good he's been, because, unfortunately, he played for the White Sox. He's got a career 9-19 record, despite some really dynamite stuff in his career. Of course, at the plate, the Bo Sox had a ton of strikeouts in the spring. Jarren Duran hit just $196. Tristan Casas hit just $195. If the Rangers can get to this Boston bullpen, I think they can explode late. I don't know if they're going to tee off on Crochet in particular, but if they can get to that bullpen, they're going to get the job done here. I like Texas plus $1 over 7.5. All right, next game, Phil's Nats, 4:05 East. Philadelphia's -170, total 7. Zach Wheeler for the Titans, Mackenzie Gore for Washington. And I'll tell you what, Gore looked really great in spring training. 2.76 ERA through 16+. No homers allowed. Kept the ball down, kept it in the park, 18 strikeouts. And listen, he's facing some Philly veterans who gave very little effort in Clearwater. Kyle Schwarber hit just $1.84. Nick Castellanos just $1.50 at the dish. That is it. This is an aging Philly lineup as well. Dangerous on paper, but maybe they were dangerous, a little more dangerous in 2022. These guys are starting to get a little bit up there in age. I'm not expecting an offensive explosion in this one. I can't imagine Wheeler's going to get shelled, right? They're not going to knock him around. This feels a bit of like a 2-1 game either way. Phil's could still win it outright, but feels like a 2-1 game either way. I like the Nationals plus 1.5 on the run line, under 7. All right, next matchup, Angels, White Sox, 4:10 p.m. East. The Angels are minus $1.50, totals 8. Yusei Kikuchi for Los Angeles, Sean Burke for Chicago. Now, Burke had a short yet promising body of work with the White Sox last season. It was 19 innings of work, 142 ERA. He also fanned 22 batters during that stretch and had a 1.00 whip. Of course, he's facing an Angel club who's, they struggled getting base runners in the spring. Joe Adell, he hit just a $192 OPS in the 500s. And Mickey Moniak, he also hit $1.92 in the spring himself, 241 on-base percentage. I'm not even so certain. I gotta double check. Wow, that was a crazy orb. I gotta double check. I'm not so certain that Mickey Moniak is going to be starting with these guys. Really, started off hot, kind of when he got to the Angels, and I don't know, not overly impressed with Moniak, but weather-wise, balmy, potentially wet on the south side tomorrow. Looks like temperature going to be in the 40s in the Windy City. Not ideal conditions for a track meet, an offensive shootout. I like the White Sox plus 1.5, under 8. All right, next game, Mets, Astros, 4:10 Eastern first pitch. Houston's minus $1.30, totals 8. Framber Valdez for Houston, Clay Holmes for the Mets. Now, Holmes has been mainly a bullpen guy in his career. Looks like only 4 career starts for him. Pretty much all of his work coming out of the bullpen for his career. He did finish last season with a 1.30 whip with the Yankees. He's definitely susceptible to the long ball, and he's facing a Houston club who's got plenty of guys who can get on base. Jeremy Pena hit .475 in the spring with an OPS in the 1300s. And Zach DeZenzo, he hit .391 with an OPS of 1070. I like Houston minus $1.30, over 8. Next matchup, Guardians Royals, 4:10 Eastern start. Kansas City's minus $1.30, total 7.5. Cole Reagans for Kansas City, Tanner Bybee for Cleveland. Now, Bybee's coming off a dominant spring, and I'll tell you, he's really shown some good stuff in 2 seasons with the Guardians. Bybee struck out 187 batters in 2024. He's got a career 1.14 whip with the Guardians. And even though it does look like KC has a good amount of sluggers on the roster this season, I'm actually a bit concerned about starting pitcher Cole Reagans. He came off a pretty dreadful spring training. 8.20 ERA, 32 hits allowed, and that was through just 18-plus innings of work. Now, weather-wise, could be wet and windy at Kauffman Stadium here tomorrow. Keep an eye on the weather. Conditions not particularly conducive to a high-scoring affair. I like Cleveland plus $1.10, under 7.5. Next matchup, Braves, Padres, 4:10 p.m. East. Atlanta's minus $1.30, total 7. Chris Sale for Atlanta, Michael King for San Diego. And listen, on paper, this is a fantastic matchup on the hill. Good to see 2 great pitchers going head-to-head, both pitchers with some great stuff. That in mind, though, I think Michael King goes a little bit overlooked in the showdown. I think a lot of folks are going to be focused on Chris Sale. Michael King is a very good arm. He had a solid spring training and a good year with the Padres in 2024. King had a 2.95 ERA through 30 starts last year, 201 strikeouts, 1.19 whip. And he's taking on an Atlanta squad who notoriously strikes out a bunch at the plate. They've done it for the past couple of seasons. They don't make a whole lot of contact. They hit it hard. They hit a lot of homers, but they strike out an awful lot. Actually, going for value in this one, I like the Padres catching plus money at home with King on the mound here. Looks like a pretty good price point. I like it. Give me San Diego plus $1.10 over 7. Next matchup, Pirates Marlins 4:10 p.m. East. Pittsburgh's minus $1.55, total 6.5. Paul Skeens for the Bucks, the Phenom. Sandy Alcantara for Miami. And despite a pretty dominant spring training, Alcantara's coming off a shaky 2024 campaign. Sandy went just 7-12 on the hill with an ERA in the 4s. I also have concerns about these Miami bats. They're going to have to face Paul Skeens, who struck out 23 batters in 18 innings of work in the spring. Is coming off an impressive 11-3 campaign in his rookie season. Skeens actually had a 1.96 ERA in 2024, .94 whip. Of course, at the plate, Jack Sawinski, he hit .375 in the spring, OPS in the thousands. And Joey Bart, he also hit .350 with a 10.54 OPS. I like the Bucks. Give me the Pirates minus 155 over 6.5. Next game, Giants-Reds, 4:10 p.m. East. Cincinnati's minus $1.20, totals 8. Hunter Green for Cincy, Logan Webb for San Francisco. Now, Logan Webb had a dominant spring training coming off an all-star season in 2024. The righty had 13 wins last year with an ERA of 3.47. And at the dish, Willie Adames hit .333 in the spring, OPS of 942. Matt Chapman hit .400 in the spring with 6 home runs himself. They're facing Hunter Green, who definitely got knocked around a bit in the spring himself. Looking at a 5.57 ERA through 6 starts. Had some control issues in 2024 despite an all-star season. I think, simply put, I think Webb outduels Green in this spot here. I like the Giants plus $1 under 8. Next matchup, Twins, Cardinals, 4:15 East. Minnesota's $1.15, total 7.5. Pablo Lopez for the Twins, Sonny Gray for St. Louis. Now, Gray's coming off a dreadful spring training. He did not look good at all. 12.56 ERA through 14 plus. Allowed 20 earned runs and 8 home runs. I'm not sure if he lost his stuff. I don't know if he wasn't throwing 100%. Not sure. Didn't watch him pitch personally, so I didn't get a real ocular analysis on it. I'm going by the numbers here, and it looked terrible. This was not great. Very uncharacteristic for Gray. Of course, at the plate, the Cards were terrible at the dish in the spring. Nolan Gorman hit $1.89. Mason Wynn went just 4 for 50. That is not good news. And unfortunately for them, they got to face Pablo Lopez, who actually struck out 22 in the spring through 17 plus. He was actually just 2 strikeouts shy of 200 in the 2024 season. Now in the box, Matt Warner had 6 homers in the spring this year, 14 RBI. And Ty France hit .467 with an OPS in the 1200s. I do think this Minnesota pitching staff will keep St. Louis in check in this one. Possibly windy and wet by first pitch in St. Louis as well. But I don't like these Cardinal bats. I don't know. I think Lopez will have a good one here. Give me the Twins minus $1.15, under 7.5. All right, next game, Tigers-Dodgers, 7:10 p.m. East. The Dodgers are minus $1.70, total 6.5. Blake Snell for Los Angeles, Tarek Skubal for Detroit. Just a friendly reminder, the Dodgers are 2-0 on the season. They had a short 2-game series with the Cubs last week in Tokyo, so the Dodgers off to a pretty good start. But once again, they're going to have to face Tarek Skubal. Scoop's had a 2.33 ERA in the spring, .82 whip, and he's just building off a great 2024 season. He's coming off an 18-4 All-Star campaign last year in 24. Tigers had a solid run in the postseason as well. Skubal struck out 228 hitters in the regular season with a solid .92 whip. Of course, at the plate, Detroit had a handful of guys who definitely hit well in the spring. Carpenter hit 321, Torkelson 340 with an OPS in the thousands. And they're taking on Blake Snell, who threw only a handful of innings in spring, and they definitely weren't great. He was not overly crisp. Meanwhile, at the plate, Teoscar Hernandez, he went just 1 for 8 in the Tokyo series last week. Max Muncy just 1 for 7 himself. And I'll tell you, for some reason, I think these Tiger Sluggers are going to get a few base runners on Snell in this one. Might not win it outright, but I think they can keep it close. They can keep it within 2. I like Detroit plus 1.5 over 6.5 runs. All right, next matchup, A's Mariners, 10:10 Eastern first pitch. Seattle's $170, total 7. Logan Gilbert for Seattle, Luis Severino for the A's. Now, Severino had 11 wins with the Mets last season, ERA in the 3s. The Athletics also had a handful of guys who hit well in spring training. Jacob Wilson hit 308, Butler 375 with an OPS in the thousands. They're facing Logan Gilbert, who allowed 5 home runs in the spring, ERA in the 6s. And at the dish, Cal Raleigh hit just 186 in the preseason. Julio Rodriguez with an on-base percentage of just 288. I think the Athletics keep this one close. Give me the A's plus 1.5, under 7. All right, next and final baseball breakdown. Cubs, Diamondbacks, 10:10 Eastern first pitch. Arizona's minus $130, totals 8.5. Zach Gallen for Arizona, Justin Steele for Chicago. The Cubbies, 0-2 to start the year. Once again, they played the Dodgers in that Tokyo series. And, Steele had a dreadful season debut in Tokyo. He started. Gave up a couple of homers and 5 earned runs through just 4 innings of work. Meanwhile, at the plate, Seiya Suzuki, he went 0 for 8 in the Japan series. Crow Armstrong and Bush, they went hitless as well. They're facing Zach Gallen, who's been fairly elite over the past 3 seasons. 43 total wins over the past 3 years for Gallen. ERA, actually a career ERA of 3.29. This is a really good pitcher. Meanwhile, at the plate, Ketel Marte definitely hit well in the spring. 3.44 average for him. Vargas and Naylor both hit 3.75 respectively. I like the Diamondbacks minus $130, over 8.5. And with that, folks, we're going to jump into some NHL action. Got a couple of games we're going to break down. First one is Penguins, Sabres, 7 o'clock Eastern puck drop. Buffalo's $145, total 6. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen for the Sabres. Tristan Jarry for the Penguins. Jarry's 12-10 in the net. Pittsburgh with victories in 5 out of their last 8. And I'll tell you what, during that stretch, the Penguins scored a whole lot of goals. They averaged over 4.1 goals a game during that time frame I just mentioned, throwing out that Tampa Bay contest. Sidney Crosby, he's got a team-high 79 points. Ricard Raquel with 32 goals on the year. And they could have some success against UPL in the crease. The Buffalo netminder has a goals against average of 316, save percentage of 888. And no real surprise here, folks. The Sabres are in the bottom 5 in goals allowed per game. Now, Buffalo contest went 4-3 to the over in their last 7. Pittsburgh with overs in 5 out of their last 7 themselves. I like the Penguins plus 1.5, over 6. All right, next matchup, Canadiens, Flyers, 7 o'clock East. Montreal's minus $120, total 6. Sam Montembeault for the Habs, Sam Ersson for Philadelphia. Now, Ersson's got a goals against average in the 3s, save percentage of 882. And more recently, the Flyers are on a 6-game skid. They allowed 27 total goals during that span. And they're facing a Montreal team who scored a considerable amount of goals recently themselves. Pretty dominant over Philly in recent gatherings. Out of Montreal's last 10 meetings with the Flyers, they posted a record of 7-2-1. So if you're into historical trends, certainly want to think about that one there. As far as this season's concerned, well, Montreal is a top 10 goal-scoring team. Nick Suzuki has 72 points on the year, plus 11 when he's on the ice. And Cole Caulfield has a team-high 33 goals. The Montreal games went 7-3 to the over in their last 10, 4-2 to the over in their last 6 on the road. I like the Canadiens minus $1.20, over 6. Next game, Hockey Club Lightning, 7 o'clock Eastern puck drop. Tampa Bay is minus $2, total 6.5. Now, Tampa Bay has been excellent in the Amalie Arena this season. They're 25-8-2 at home, 6th in the league in goals per game. Nikita Kucherov, 2nd in the league in assists and points. Braden Point is the team leader in goals. And they're facing a Utah team who lost 5 out of their last 9, losing record against the puck line this year. They're also in the bottom 3 in power play chances on D. Now, Utah games went 7-3 to the over in their last 10, 4-1 to the over in their last 5 on the road. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay saw overs in 6 out of their last 10 themselves. I like Tampa Bay minus 1.5, over 6.5 goals. All right, next and final breakdown for the video. Senators, Red Wings, 7 o'clock East. Ottawa's minus $1.25, total 6. Linus Ullmark for Ottawa, Alex Lyon for Detroit. Now, Lions recorded just 1 shutout in 21 starts this season. Save percentage in the 800s. Meanwhile, as a team, the Red Wings dropped 7 out of their last 10. They're the second most power play goals allowed in the league. And they're facing an Ottawa team who's in the top 5 in power play chances themselves, winners of 7 out of their last 10. When it comes to defensive play, the Sens are in the top 10 in fewest goals allowed. Defenseman Nick Jensen's a plus 17. Linus Ullmark, 19-13 with a save percentage in the 900s. Now, 2 out of the Red Wings' last 3 home games did fall under the total. 60% to the under in their last 10 at any location. I like Ottawa minus $1.25, under 6. And with that, folks, we're going to jump into our quick pick recap. I like the over 175 in that BYU-Alabama matchup. Under 157 in that Maryland-Florida game. I'm 8-0. My last 8 board member tier package plays on my premium page. Give me Duke minus 9, under 153.5. Arkansas plus 6, over 148. NBA, Wizards plus 11, over 236.5. Dallas plus 7, under 219. Cavaliers minus 13, over 238.5. Miami Heat minus 1, over 227 and a hook. Lakers minus 3.5, over 238.5. Memphis plus 10, over 239. Rockets minus 12.5, under 228. Give me the Blazers plus 6, over 225. Baseball, Yankees minus 155, under 8. Toronto plus $1, over 8.5. Rangers plus $1, over 7.5 runs. Washington plus 1.5, under 7. White Sox plus 1.5, under 8. Astros minus 130, over 8 runs. Cleveland plus $1.10, under 7.5. Padres plus $1.10, over 7. Pittsburgh minus 155, over 6.5. Giants plus $1, under 8. Minnesota Twins minus $1.15, under 7.5. Tigers plus 1.5, over 6.5 runs. Athletics plus 1.5, under 7. Diamondbacks minus 130, over 8.5. NHL Penguins plus 1.5, over 6. Montreal minus $1.20, over 6 goals. Lightning minus 1.5, over 6.5 goals. And give me the Senators minus $1.25, under 6. And with that, folks, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my premium page. And if you do end up getting a membership here today on my premium site, just a friendly reminder, you're going to get access to that membership every single day for the next 30 days. And as an added bonus, you're also going to get access to all of my cheaper memberships during that time frame, absolutely free. Going to be included with your membership. That's why I always tell folks, that Gold Club package, it's a full access, all-inclusive membership. Gives you access to every single premium selection of mine, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. But most importantly, folks, gotta thank you for joining me right here on the free video. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. With that said, folks, happy Thursday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my premium page.